Hi, I'm Kay. I'm the director and the founder for the National Alliance for Targeted Parents. We are a grassroots organization of targeted or rejected parents and our supporters. The name targeted or rejected parent comes from how we are treated by our partners or ex-partners and our children respectively. Our partners or ex-partners target us to take all the blame and all the punishment for everything that went wrong in the family, in the relationship, and in the marriage. And the worst type of punishment that they can inflict on us is to coerce our children into rejecting us. Now, some people call this parental alienation. And to me, this is problematic because I fought for years in family court and I proved parent alienation beyond a shadow of a doubt. I had two psychologists. There was a 26-page report, page after page after page of all of the things that my ex was doing to alienate my children from me, and the fact that I didn't do anything to deserve it or retaliate in any way. And what happened after all of that? Nothing. Nothing. I was devastated. My world was shattered. So in front of the commissioner, I broke down. Through my sobbing, I said, "But this is child abuse." And she said very calmly, "Well, you didn't mention child abuse. You see, even if you can prove parent alienation, there are no laws against it. There are no sanctions. The judges or commissioners don't know what to do with it. And it really would take a leap of faith for most judges or commissioners to get someone to say that this is parent alienation, and then they would start treating this case like a child abuse case." Well, this is where my thinking went. I just felt, because I have lived this, I knew that the parent alienation piano did not fall out of the sky on my husband and poof, turn him from a normal, healthy parent into an alienator. I knew there was something much more than that, and I had to figure out what that was. High conflict family court is more than one parent brainwashing a child to reject the other parent. High conflict family court is a cesspool of deadly trauma. It is the synergy of parental mental illness, domestic violence, and witnessing domestic violence in the form of coercive control, and the ongoing, prolonged, and intense psychological child abuse and neglect. And the saddest thing about it is that we have known that this trauma, this type of trauma, is deadly to our children. We've known that for decades. The abusive parent causes mental and physical damage to both the targeted parent and the children through the intentional infliction of emotional distress. And because the courts allow this to continue for years and years and years, they are guilty of negligent infliction of emotional distress. What does this amount of trauma do to our children? We know exactly what it does to our children, because there's a simple and profound way to measure the impact of this amount of trauma on children, and that's called an ACE score. ACE scores stand for Adverse Childhood Experience Score, and these are prolonged situations that cause children trauma. Our children in high conflict family court are embroiled in 6 out of the 10 top sources of trauma that we know about. Our children live with a mentally ill parent, the other parent, the alienating parent, at least half time, if not more. They witness domestic violence, especially coercive control. They've witnessed it their entire lives because we've experienced it our entire lives. Divorce is one of the highest sources of stress and trauma for children. And our kids get extra points because we're high conflict divorce. They often lose a parent, either through alienation or incarceration or death. And besides all of that, there is this ongoing, continual psychological abuse and neglect. That gives our kids an ACE score of 6+ out of 10, and this is extreme on anybody's scale. Our children will develop negative mental and physical health problems. They're at the highest risk for self-destructive behaviors such as drugs and alcohol. They have a 5,000% increase in the risk of committing suicide. And if that's not enough, they're at extremely high risk for developing cancer, liver, and lung disease, and chances are they're going to die at least 20 years earlier than they would without this trauma. It is absolutely accepted that adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, is our #1 unaddressed public health problem in the United States. So what do we do about it? How do we protect our children from ACEs? We need to make sure that our courts, our family courts, are trauma informed. High conflict or not, they must be trauma informed. And this is the perfect time to do it. We're ready to do this because, as I've told you before, there are 2 federal bills, H.R. 443 and S.R. 346, which state that these bills would recognize the importance, the effectiveness, and the need for trauma-informed care among existing federal agencies, and that includes family court. It also expresses the design, or they also want to designate May as National Trauma Informed Month, Awareness Month, and one of the days in that month would be National Trauma Informed Awareness Day. In addition to that, I have to tell you that in June, AFCC, which is the Association of Family and Conciliation Courts, is holding its annual meeting, and it is called Compassionate Courts, the Role of Trauma-Informed Jurisprudence. So this is really getting to be our avenue to finally start to change family courts. At AFCC in June, over 70% of the programs offered are about high conflict family court, are about trauma, are about protecting our children and reducing the stress in high conflict family court. It's just the perfect time for the National Alliance for Targeted Parents to roll out our initiative called End Family Court Trauma. You need to stay tuned. You need to become members of National Alliance for Targeted Parents, and we will keep you updated on everything that we're doing as we roll out to launch End Family Court Trauma this spring. Thanks for listening. Again, I'm Kay Johnson from the National Alliance for Targeted Parents. Bye now.